Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
A magic beyond anything you could ever imagine.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Sagrera Farms on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day.
You really think that's the best idea?
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, this is Hunt Palmer.
It's quite a piece of work.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Thursday. Means we're brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Jacob Beck, Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. Plenty to do as we're working towards the weekend. Talk about the Saints coming up in 15 minutes. Bill Barnwell from ESPN ranked the skill groups in the NFL. Where do the Saints come up in that list? JD Picell from On3 Sports going to talk some LSU football with us. He's been banging the Brian Kelly LSU drum all off season. Excited to chat with JD at 1:30. At 2 o'clock, segment I do every single year. I'm going to go through LSU's high school baseball signees and tell you what I know and tell you what I think about Sunday and Monday in the draft. It's going to be tough to get deep into that on Monday and Tuesday when the draft settles because we'll be at media days next week. So I'm going to set the table for the draft, and then we'll get to it when we can next week. But obviously a massive 2 days for the LSU baseball program on Sunday and Monday. I'll tell you what I think at 2 o'clock. And then a cool story on ESPN.com. The anticipated arch villains for every top 25 college football team coming up this fall. That's going to be... It's a humorous read, and I'll elaborate on that a little bit as we move forward. So lots and lots to do. But, of course, the headlining is the big news right here out of the capital city. Let's get to it with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
We have been talking about Lamar Brown's recruitment heavily for a month. Realistically, for a year, for some, multiple years, because of how high profile Brown has become right there at U-High, literally on LSU's campus. And as the months drew on, it kind of whittled down to two teams. And I think that there was a lot of quality reporting in that Brown was strongly considering LSU and Texas A&M until late in the process. And the reasons were obvious. Like for LSU, it's home. It's where your family is. It's where you've grown up. It's the flagship university of your state. It's one of the most tradition-rich programs in college football, and it's Saturday night in Tiger Stadium, and it's Kyle Williams, the defensive line coach, who's been an all-pro on the defensive line, and it's the national championship pedigree, and it's all that. And then for A&M, it's a chance to be remotely close to home, but a little bit further away so you can spread your wings, and it's a massive stadium and a huge alumni base and a head coach that's a big-time defensive line developer and a chance to go make history over there and become part of a championship team, which no one in maroon and white has ever experienced. So there were reasonable sides on both, and we sat here in Baton Rouge, and you're hoping that home wins out, and you sit there in College Station, and you're hoping that a chance to spread your wings and do something different wins out. And I think that the indications started to roll in about 10 o'clock this morning that home was going to win out. And Lamar Brown went on ESPN2, and trust me, nobody was knocking on my door from a national television broadcasting standpoint when I was a high school senior. So I can't even imagine going on ESPN. But my guy was nervous. There's no doubt about it. And he was quick to answer questions and really just wanted to get on with the show. And when he got on with the show, he said he would be playing the next 3 or 4 years at Louisiana State University, put on the huge-sized hat, had the baseball jersey on, which I appreciate, national championship baseball team if you hadn't realized, and he pledged to stay home and play for the LSU Tigers. Now, look, I still toss these caveats in every single time we talk recruiting. I know this doesn't mean he's going to end up at LSU in January. Not mean he's going to end up at LSU next summer. He can still flip. There's plenty of time for that. I know it means LSU's in a really good position to land him, and it's really good news for the football program. I also know that with the transfer portal open, high school recruiting tends to be pushed down a peg in terms of its relevance. But I'll say this. It's really important to get these kinds of players. It just is. even in the age of NIL, even in the age of the transfer portal, even in the age of signing the number one portal class and filling your roster with a bunch of starters from different places, even in the era where you've got 5 stars in the very recent past that have come to LSU and moved on, like Lance Hurd, for example. It's still important to get these commitments. It's still important to get these signatures. It's important to have Harold Perkins on your roster for 3 years. It's important to have Will Campbell on your roster for 3 years. It's important to have Emory Jones and Trades Green and Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas and Whit Weeks. And I know I'm kind of all over the board there, but these are big-time recruits, some from in the state, some from out of the state, that you get in and you get 3 or 4 years out of All-American type play. And sometimes that comes from 3-star recruits, but far more often it comes from 5-star recruits. And when you listen to people a lot more qualified than me talk about Lamar Brown, you realize how important it is for LSU to get him in the class. If he were just an offensive lineman, he would be a 5-star. If he were just a defensive lineman, he would be a 5-star. And the fact of the matter is that he is a 6'4", 6'5", 285-pound prospect that is listed as an athlete. That's how dynamic this young man is. Not only is he a 5-star offensive lineman and a 5-star defensive lineman, he is a state champion in the shot put. He is a state champion in the discus. He is as dynamic an athlete as there is in this recruiting cycle. And he goes to school on your campus. And sometimes that's played to LSU's advantage. Nick Brissett, Garrett Brumfield, Jaquelin Roy, like guys, they got in the boat that came to LSU and had very productive careers. Sometimes it's worked against LSU. Dylan Moses, Tim Williams, Jordan Gilbert didn't go to LSU. Came back. So I think most people, if you just zoomed out and you weren't immersed in this thing and you said, well, Ohio State's got a 5-star that goes to school on their campus, well, why would you even recruit that guy? But we know better than that. We know that LSU does have to fight for the U-High kids. And this is one you've got to fight for. And to LSU's credit, they did it. Like, A&M put up a good fight. If I realized fully that if I got on this microphone today and he had picked A&M and I had said, LSU staff did a good job recruiting, there would be pitchforks at the studio door about how stupid a comment that is. But when we can relax and go, oh, well, LSU got this guy, and I can go, A&M ran a damn strong race here. To get a kid from Baton Rouge to take that many visits to College Station, Texas, and up until the very last day, hours before the commitment, for national analysts, LSU analysts, A&M analysts to go, I'm not really sure. That's a hell of a recruiting effort from Texas A&M. You can talk about their player development program, the booster base, the alumni network, clearly NIL, all that stuff's relevant. And LSU's got some of that as well. But LSU had home in their back pocket, and that's a tough one to break free from. Now, you'll hear people talk about the money LSU was able to fundraise here, and in this era, like, certainly 2 months ago, I'd have said, yeah, that's like the biggest deal. Like, what happened there? Now with the deals where you got to pass them in the clearinghouse and you can still pay high school kids out of collectives, and like it's a little bit convoluted now in a way that I don't have a perfect handle. And I got a handle on it, not a perfect handle on it. But the fact of the matter is that LSU staff did what they need to do. And I come on here often, and we'll do so in the future, and say, look, you can't lock kids in a trunk and shove them into psychology class and not let them see the light of day until it's time to go to school. Like, you just give your pitch. And whatever the LSU staff did from a visit perspective, from a development perspective, from an NIL perspective, from a revenue sharing perspective, from a Kyle Williams perspective, like whatever they did, they got it done. And I think oftentimes our reaction to wins on the recruiting trail is, all right, good job. And our reaction to losses on the recruiting trail is, this is a disaster. Fire the coach. Fire the position coach. This is awful. How are we going to recover from this? We'll never. It generally turns up to 11 when you miss a guy, and it's like a 6 when you get one. I prefer to treat the wins as like a 9 and the losses as like a 7. This would have been a big loss. Not one you can't recover from. You can always go to the portal or go try to substitute for the player that you don't get in the recruiting trail. but getting these high-level prospects in the boat is massively, massively important. Wilson Alexander from The Advocate just tweeted out moments ago, said if LSU is able to get Lamar Brown and Tristan Keys, 2 top 10 players in the 24/7 composite in this cycle, it'll be the first time they have done that in years and years and years. And now I'm forgetting the 2 guys he said. I thought I'll just be able to recall it. I want to say Lael Collins and Anthony Johnson, but let me make sure that that's correct because I can pull up Wilson's profile right here. He said it would be the first time. Yep, Lael Collins and Anthony Johnson. I was right. Go back and check it. That's a long time ago. That's the FAM, 2011, with Jeremy Hill and Kenny Hilliard, and all those guys that came in that class and were great, great players at LSU. Hopefully Lamar Brown is the next great, great player at LSU, like the guys I rattled off here that were 5 stars that have come into Baton Rouge and made massive waves. So big time for the LSU staff, big time for this class, which now will creep into the top 5 by most of your recruiting services. You're talking about a class that now, according to 1-3 and Rivals, still has the highest average rating per player in this class. You've got Tristan Keys, who's a 5-star, Trenton Henderson, who's a 5-star, Lamar Brown, who's a 5-star. Like, you've got high-end players. And we all know that a lot of times players head out after being massively highly rated. Deshaun Womack, Lance Hurd, Quincy Wiggins. It happens. But you celebrate these wins when you can get them. Big-time win for LSU as they pull in Lamar Brown by ESPN, the number 1 player in the nation from right here in Baton Rouge, and he is committed to stay home right here and sign his letter of intent coming up in December. So big get for LSU. We got a lot to do here on this Thursday. We're brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Tell you more about them as we move on in the show because I had one of their steaks this weekend. It's real good. But we'll talk about that as we move forward. When we come back, let's talk about the Saints position group in terms of the skill positions and where that ranks in the National Football League. We'll do it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. Good day in Baton Rouge, as we just alluded to there in the first segment. How about you make it a better day and go over to Airline at Pickell and look around at Genesis vehicles? Most of you listening to me have not gotten behind the wheel of a Genesis. That's just the reality of it. But you can change that. And you don't even have to go to the dealership. I recommend you do. It's a first-class facility, and the staff is wonderful. But if you're thinking, I don't have time to run over there, I'm on the other side of town, busy, got kids, got job. I do have 20 minutes at lunch, though. I'd like to get behind the wheel. Well, tell them. They'll come to you, get one of their brand ambassadors to hop in the car with you, take it for a spin, and see the Genesis difference. It's a luxury vehicle at a reasonable price. When I say Genesis Baton Rouge, think luxury vehicle. When you think luxury vehicle, don't immediately price yourself out. Go look. Check out the inventory online, genesisofbatonrouge.com. Every new purchase, 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. Find them online at genesisofbatonrouge.com.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $22,500 off MSRP on the brand new 2025 Ram 1500 Laramie with $22,500 off MSRP with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Luba Workers Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. This It's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Signees Farms.
You haven't noticed this, our guy JD Picell from On3 Sports, who joins us every week during football season, has really been championing the LSU Tigers in this offseason. We'll talk to him coming up in 15 minutes about why he feels that way and kind of get a primer for SEC Media Days coming up next week. I was reading on ESPN.com earlier today. Bill Barnwell has his annual story up ranking the NFL wide receiver, tight end, and running back groups, so the offensive skill position groups for 2025. So this is not a forecast for the next 4 years or a salary cap situation. This is purely looking at what you did last year, what you got on the books for this year, and what these guys might do in terms of their production this year. And I was actually surprised. I'd kind of forgotten where the Saints fell in this list last year. They were 14th. Oh, sorry, my mistake. I misread. They were 14th 2 years ago. They were last year 25th, which makes some sense. And you're kind of running it back this year with much of the same. You've added Brandon Cooks, obviously, and potentially your running back shuffle is going to look a little bit different behind Kamara, probably looking at a little bit more from Kentre Miller. But it's basically the same cast of characters, and that is reflected in the grade, which is just one spot up at 24th. And I think that has to do a little bit with Rashid Shaheed, when he was on the field, really emerging as one of the better deep threats, at least in the NFC, if not in the NFL as a whole. I broke this little blurb by Bill Barnwell down into two different pieces. One is he is curious what to do with Chris Olave. He was fourth in ESPN's receiver score, but limited to 6 games and a handful of snaps in 2 others because of the concussions, which, by the way, is now 4 in 3 years, which we know very well. Barnwell calls Olave a legitimate number one receiver when on the field, but it's impossible to form any realistic projection for how often we'll see the 25-year-old this season. To me, with concussions, it's unlikely that Chris Olave loses a step. Like, this is not a second ACL tear or a significant fractured leg or like some sort of deal like Steph Curry or Mahomes where their ankles don't work half the time. Like, this is a guy who physically, in terms of running, jumping, catching, all the things required to do by the NFL receiver, he's still well within his prime. It's just a matter of whether or not his head will cooperate. And that's something we can't really know. It's certainly terrifying. One, as Chris Olave, two, as Saints fans to a much lesser degree, but when you're rooting on the team. But you've drafted this guy in the first round, and he's shown over 2 seasons he's a 1,000-yard receiver if he's healthy. But is he going to be healthy? So to me, you would just grade him as 1,000-yard receiver. Like, sure, concussions happen frequently, and if you get one, you're more prone to others down the line. But, like, to me, I would look at Chris Olave as a legitimate 1,200-yard receiver in the NFL, given reasonable quarterback play. And that's not a given, but we're not grading the quarterbacks. We're grading the skill guys. So if you give them league average quarterback play, he's going to be a 1,000-yard guy. And then the second piece of this that I find interesting, and these are some statistics that Barnwell dug up. He said, as for Alvin Kamara, it might be time to face reality. He's spent half his career with Drew Brees and half without. And he's been a different running back without an elite passing game to make his life easier. Barnwell writes, though he's still an effective receiver on a per-route basis by running back standards, he's probably miscast as a three-down back and would be far more effective as the receiving back in a rotation. I think part of that is true. The part that suggests that a running back's life is much easier with Drew Brees under center is very obvious. That doesn't make it less true. It is very obvious. I would suggest if you gave Alvin Kamara Philadelphia's running back and Jalen Hurts, Philadelphia's running back, Philadelphia's offensive line and Jalen Hurts, that he would still be a great three-down runner. The Saints' offensive line last year was a mash unit. The year before that, it was a mash unit. So, yeah, his productivity has dropped off post-Drew Brees, but so has the offensive line play. So, while I completely understand casting a shade of doubt on Alvin Kamara's future the next 2 years at 30 and 31 years old, I'm not just solely going to pin this on Drew Brees not being there. It hurts. It's not the sole factor. They've got to do a better job on the offensive line of staying healthy and then blocking. And right now, the Saints' offensive line has a chance to be very good. If McCoy is healthy, he's a top 5 center. If Fuaga takes a step from year 1 to year 2, he is at worst a league average right tackle, at best leaning towards a Pro Bowl right tackle. And if Banks is as good as Fuaga was last year, he's at least league average as well, and we think Cesar Ruiz is league average. We'll see what Penning can give him on the other side. But there's at least a chance that the Saints' offensive line is good. You could have, it's not out of the question that the Saints have 2 Pro Bowl offensive linemen this year. You would not fall out of your chair if I told you that Eric McCoy made the Pro Bowl. You would not fall out of your chair if I told you Taliese Fuaga made the Pro Bowl. Would I bet my money on either one of them making the Pro Bowl? No, but they could be that level of player. And Banks, the potential's limitless on him. Certainly, it's better than whatever the Saints were trotting out there in week 8 last year, where you were literally the last 2 years signing guys off the street to go play and start on your offensive line. So I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater with Kamara just because Brees isn't there. Let's look at something else. So to me, I'm not going to ding Olave too hard on injuries that don't impact his ability to play the position. They just impact his ability to get on the field, if that makes sense, right? Like a knee injury can compromise your ability to play wide receiver. A concussion limits your ability to literally get on the field. If he's literally on the field, he's good. And if Kamara gets better blocking, he's good. And Shaheed, in his role, is good. Now, beyond that, I don't know. I didn't like the Cook signing. I don't like the tight end spot great. So I'm not clamoring for Barnwell to move the Saints off the 24th spot here. I think that is completely fair given the circumstances. Because it's not a guarantee that Olave plays, and it's not a guarantee that the Saints' offensive line is very good for Kamara. But I think some of the nitpicking he's doing here can be pushed back on a little bit. So you see where this puts the Saints in the NFC South. Well, behind the Saints is the Bears, Giants, Jets, Bills, Browns, Patriots, Panthers, and Titans. So only one group here is worse than the Saints. And that brings me like kind of back around to Carolina, which I've told you time and time again, I don't want to constantly compare the Saints to their divisional peers because I don't think that's a great barometer when you're looking at what the ultimate goal is, which is competing to win the NFC and to get into the Super Bowl and to win it, which not this year is not going to happen, but that's why you literally form a franchise. So I'm not going to just try to be the tallest short person here. I'm trying to get towards the top of the league, but if we are going to compare them to the Panthers in this vacuum, I will suggest that they are doing things poorly because they're toward the back end of what the Saints are on the front end of, which is surrounding your young quarterback with the best ecosystem possible. And if Bill Barnwell is telling you that the Panthers are 31st in their skill positions around Bryce Young, you're making life hell for Bryce Young, and that's what the Saints have to guard against with Tyler Shuck. So you need Olave, who's still in his mid-20s, and Shaheed, who's still in his mid-20s, and then either Neal or Miller at running back to emerge a little bit, and you need that position group to come along. You've spent your resources on the offensive front, and that should be settled here for the time being. Now it's time to be aggressive in the draft, in free agency next year if some money comes available, and go get him the weapons he needs to be successful. I don't know that you have them right now. Bill Barnwell says you're right there at number 24, so that's not a great ecosystem. In year one, that's okay. It's going to be drinking out of a fire hose for Tyler Shuck. Like, it just is. It would be easier if he had the Eagles supporting cast, but that's not necessarily the spot that everybody comes into. It would be easier if he had Brock Purdy's San Francisco supporting cast. Not the case for everybody. And Josh Allen's making it work with what Barnwell says is a worse supporting cast than what the Saints have. But if you can keep him upright this year and keep Olave healthy this year, you can be okay. But I think the next piece to the puzzle for Shuck is going to get some pieces around him behind that offensive line that make the Saints offense hum a little bit more. So I don't think this is an unfair ranking. I push back on some of the detriments to the Saints here. But ultimately, these guys have got to go out there and play and get it done. Barnwell says they're 24th in offensive skill position playing right this very second. We'll just see. If you're looking for Saints content, you can find it wherever you find your sound. Hunt on Saints. Saints report in just over 2 weeks. So it's about that time to get involved with the Saints. We're talking about LouisianaSports.net. Ross Jackson does an awesome job for us. And again, wherever you find your sound, certainly on YouTube, Hunt on Saints, you can find your Saints coverage. All right, JD Picell on 3 Sports talking Tigers when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
Parish Construction and Roofing. This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs. From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $22,500 off MSRP on the brand new 2025 Ram 1500 Laramie with $22,500 off MSRP with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work,
creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Brack, your #1 park system in the nation.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Signees Farms.
Want to put this on y'all's radar. Make sure you're following 1045 ESPN on Instagram and Twitter, because UFC 318, I like 318, UFC 3F18, coming up next Saturday. That's July the 19th. We're going to be giving away 3 4-packs of VIP passes to the watch party inside the sportsbook at L'Auberge Baton Rouge. You'll have a roped-off seating area, catered food, free beer. We're going to be having a big old time a week from Saturday over at L'Auberge for Poirier versus Holloway. So if that's something that interests you as a UFC fan, follow us on social media as we move forward. We're going to be giving away those prize packages in the coming days. So check that out on our social media. Let's talk some football. JD Picell hosted the Hard Count on 3. My guy's got to be chomping at the bit. Football is close enough to taste it. Big 12 Media Days just wrapped up. SEC Media Days cranks up in Atlanta next week. So we got to bring him on. JD, how we doing?
Dude, I'm like Pavlov's dog. Whenever I hear Hunt Palmer on the other side of my telephone, I know that football is about to be played, man. Pleasure to be back on with you. Crazy media is already here, man. It's that time again.
It is. We're excited to hit the road for Atlanta on Sunday. The first thing I'll do for SEC Football Media Days is settle into my hotel on Sunday night and do the Major League Baseball draft and write that. But we'll get into football quickly Monday and Tuesday. I want to do that with you. You kind of been banging the BK drum in the offseason. Why is that, sir?
I'm banging the drum, man. I'm absolutely just taking a drumstick to that thing with every fiber of my being. I think that when you look across the country, everyone's hit on this. A lot of uncertainty at quarterback for a lot of these big dogs for the most part. Like Texas, I think Arch Manning is going to be great. How great is he going to be his first year as a starter? TBD. Ohio State, same thing. So you kind of go down the line here to save us some time of all these, premier institutions. And LSU has the most sure thing in the country at quarterback, paired with, I know folks in Baton Rouge are excited about this, continuity on the staff, plus the number 2 port. So there's so many things from the roster to continuity to Nussmeier, paired with where the rest of college football is right now. I think LSU set up to make a real run at this thing.
Let me play devil's advocate, and that's what I'm doing because I don't necessarily believe everything I'm saying. But let me play devil's advocate. Nussmeier turned the ball over in crucial spots at College Station. crucial spots against Alabama, crucial spots at times against South Carolina as well, and Florida, and isn't very mobile, and he doesn't have that offensive line that kept him upright all of last year. 4 of them are going to the NFL. Like, are you certain Garrett Nussmeier is going to be as effective this year?
The answer is no, I'm not certain, but in a weird way, and roll with me here, in a weird way, I feel better that he's done that already. Like, I feel better that he's gone into those spots and knows what it feels like to fail miserably where you're up against Alabama at home and to just flop. I feel better that he's flopped in the second half against A&M, because now when he gets back in those spots, maybe he's not, in a spot where he has the extra confidence because he balled out in those spots. But on the flip side of that, there's a certain presence I think you gain knowing what it feels like and then getting to do it again for a second time, kind of getting a do-over. So I think the composure for him will be maybe not night and day, but at the very least improved. And if he has a run game behind him too, I think that'll do wonders. I think Caden Durham, should he stay healthy, knock on wood, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for LSU to be complimentary, which I think is one thing that kind of got overlooked talking about Nuss a year ago, is everyone's talking about he's kind of got this gunslinger to him, and we warned you about that before the season. He likes to take chances, and yeah, I'm sure some of that factored in, but we saw it with Carson Beck at Georgia too. There wasn't that premier Georgia run game they're used to having, and you saw Carson Beck start to force things downfield. Kind of the same thing with Nussmeier when his run game was even more inferior to what they had relative to Georgia. So it's a long-winded way to tell you, I think the presence, having done it in the SEC, plus the opportunity to be able to, step into a spot with more help is going to be a good thing for him.
Defensively, LSU hasn't been good enough the last 3 years. What gives you the confidence that this is going to make that different?
I think the continuity with Blake Baker, like we talked about a little bit, and I think also the fact that you saw improvement from the year before to the first year with the staff. I think if I'm an LSU fan, and Hunt, you could probably tell me more specifically on this and be more on the nose here. I think if you're looking at your roster, you're like, man, we got some guys here. Whit Weeks popped up in a big way. Patrick Payton popping up here via the portal. Harold Perkins. There's should he stay healthy? There's a lot of guys here to where if that second year scheme looks like a second year defense with all that talent, there should be enough there for them to have some success on that side of the football. And to be clear here, I don't think LSU needs to be, top 25 in the country defensively to get to where they want to go.
Yeah, I mean, they probably need to be top 60, top 50, and they haven't been near that in the last few years. And they've got to have some of these portal pieces hit on Baker's defense, and it feels like that's a distinct possibility. We'll just have to see. Let's dance around the rest of the Southeastern Conference. I want to do some more national stuff with you as we get into probably August. But around the SEC, I mean, everybody's loving Texas. Are you on that boat too?
I am, but I think I'm loving them for different reasons. I think the take that people are falling in love with now, whether it's subconsciously or consciously for traffic, is, well, hey, you got Arch Manning, and he can't be worse than Quinn Ewers, right? And I think that's probably a fair way to look at it in some respects. I just like Texas because of what else they have around Arch Manning. I think what they've done on the defensive side, the way that Sark has recruited and stockpiled talent, especially up front with Simmons and Anthony Hill, I think Texas is in a spot to where if Arch is just okay, if Arch is mid outside of the Ohio State game, Texas, I think, will be good enough from a pure talent perspective and a toughness perspective on the defensive side to probably be a college football playoff team yet again, and I think compete for an SEC championship yet again.
Ole Miss doesn't really have the expectations they had last year. Do you feel like that's a good thing, and are you ready to just plug Austin Simmons in and he'll do exactly what all Lane Kiffin's other quarterbacks did?
To answer the second part of that first, yeah, okay. I'm really big on Austin Simmons, which it's July, so I think it's fair for us to be high on a lot of these teams and be a little bit expectant, but I can't get out of my mind that drive against Georgia. And going back and watching it this offseason, I think the situation that they walked into in that spot was really fascinating. Wet game, kind of gross. At that point now with Jackson Dart out, it was a team that was down by 7 to Georgia with all their talent on that side of the football. And Lane Kiffin goes out, and I think he calls 4 or 5 passes for Austin Simmons. And they weren't just dink and dunk. It was 20-yard completion downfield. It's timing route here. It was a lot of stuff where it's hey, if you don't feel good about your quarterback in that spot against Georgia, already down 7, you just kind of ease them into it, run the football. Austin Simmons is 15 years old, and he's already graduated college. There's a lot there with that drive to make me feel really excited if Lane Kiffin's feeling that excited about him. But to answer your question on a bigger scale around Ole Miss as a whole, I think we're at this point now where it's fair for us to trust the way that Lane Kiffin builds his roster, which is kind of what we said around Florida State last year, so famous last words. But I really do believe that they have made it their identity to go through the portal. They're going to evaluate at a high level. Clearly they're going to close at a high level with a lot of guys they've brought in. So I think that if it were anybody else, it'd be more concerning. But with Lane Kiffin doing it however many times in a row now with the kind of volume they take via the portal, I think we can trust it. They'll once again be a factor in the SEC. Probably not the same talent potential there. You don't feel as good as you felt about Walter Nolan and all those guys up front, but I still think Ole Miss is at the very least going to ruin somebody's chances in November to go play for an SEC title.
Alabama has not been interesting in July in 15 years. They're now interesting. I'm very fascinated to see what people in Atlanta have to say about them next week. What do you have to say about them today?
I think that they are a quarterback away. And I say quarterback, I think they are a true plus at quarterback away from being a team that could win a national championship. I think you kind of got lost in the sauce a little bit that they were they were top 10 defense last year, which was really my biggest question coming into the year. Is Kane Womack, I think he's a good coach, but this is Alabama. That's a different standard. They lost a lot via the portal and rolled out there with a couple of freshmen at corner. And found a way to win at a high enough level last year to at least be in that playoff conversation. My biggest thing too, in addition to the defensive side and the quarterback, is all the games Alabama lost outside of Tennessee were just total take your eye off the ball games. It wasn't Alabama, isn't more talented than Vanderbilt or isn't more talented than that Oklahoma team. I think all of the change for Alabama last year, they were just so unsettled. Everyone who's still in that locker room now in Tuscaloosa is committed to Kalen DeBoer. I think if you were there a year ago this time, you were committed to Alabama and that logo and willing to take a shot on Kalen DeBoer. But if you're still there right now, you are bought into the Kalen DeBoer way of doing things. And I think that level of settled will account for some of those weird toe-stubbing moments against those lesser competition teams and have them right there in that mix to be a team that plays for a national championship. And if they get out of that gauntlet as the SEC, they'll be in that mix, I'm confident.
JD Picell is our guest from 1-3 Sports, host of The Hard Count. Going to have to give us a little bit of time here talking some football. South Carolina came out of nowhere last year. People expect things from them this year. Do you expect things from them this year?
I expect so much of Lenore Sellers. I think if you were to check stock in Lenore Sellers, it would all be gone because I think I've bought the majority of it. I've stockpiled all of it at my house right now, and I'm excited for it to boom here in the fall. I am really, really curious to see what they look like on the defensive side without Kennard now, because I think that helped Dylan Stewart a lot a year ago, where you had to double one of those guys, and if you did, the other guy got after you. But if they're just okay enough on the defensive side, I think Lenore Sellers is good enough to where he can account for those games where there is a talent gap. Is South Carolina the most talented team in college football? Absolutely not. Are they a top-tier talent team in the SEC? I wouldn't say that either. But I think in those spots where you just get inside of striking distance, I think 16 is good enough to take the game over. And that's vintage, I think, talking season sort of take. But I've felt this way, I think, since the Clemson game last year, where he just put them on his back and said, no, we're going to win this thing. I don't care who they have on defense.
He'll be in Tiger Stadium with the Gamecocks coming up early in the season in the fall. So we're looking forward to all of that. You going to be in Atlanta next week by any chance?
We'll be there. We'll be there, brother.
We will see you there. Looking very much forward to it. So take care, safe travels, and we'll see you in Atlanta.
Likewise, Hunt. Hey, love you, buddy. We'll have a great one. We'll see you soon.
He's JD Picell, host of The Hard Count on 3 Sports. Guys, fired up for a little bit of football. Sagrera Farms brings you our shows on Thursday. Sean came to Foodie Friday over on Talk 107.3, our sister station, and cooked burgers and steaks for us back in the summer last year. And I tasted the quality of the beef and could certainly speak to it then. He dropped off some beef in my house last week, and I was able to get some on the grill this weekend. And I cooked a bone-in ribeye, and it was unbelievable. The tenderness, the it's just incredible, the difference when you can tell you're tasting a quality steak. I've given you the numbers in the the IMF scores and how prime this beef is, but I can speak to it from experience at my house on my grill last weekend, and it is phenomenal. So I highly, highly recommend you give my guy Sean a phone call. It's 719-1723. Get your side, get your whole cow, get your freezer full of ground beef, ribeyes, chuck roasts, skirt steaks, flank steaks, whatever the case may be that you're looking for, he's got it. And so you can always have unbelievable quality beef at your house when you're ready to get something on the grill. Football season's around the corner. If you're hosting some folks and want to put steaks on the grill, these are the steaks you want to have. It is a hidden gem right here in our area, 30 miles away at Sagrera Farms. Give Sean a call, 719-1723. He gives you our Thursday shows each and every week here on the Hunt Palmer Show. We'll come back and close out hour number 1 with some Saints talk next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Parish Construction and Roofing. This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs. From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktail. So come out for game day and let our team make you the MVP. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wild.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. This, it's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar, but instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luva, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Signees Farms.
Closing up the hour with some Saints talk here. CBS Sports has a list, the NFL's all-quarter century offensive team. And if you look at the Saints, like, your options there are probably Drew Brees and Jari Evans are probably your two guys that have a chance to make it. And Drew Brees did not, as you would imagine. Tom Brady was the starter at quarterback. I'm not here to argue that. Peyton Manning was the reserve. I'm not here to argue that. Patrick Mahomes, reserve. I'm not really here to argue that either. Brees and Aaron Rodgers, Ben Roethlisberger got honorable mention. And it made me think, like, I'm not here to argue Brees' case against Peyton Manning or Patrick Mahomes, but I am here to suggest that, like, if a couple things break differently that are so obvious, like, is this discussion different? Because, like, can you point to a massive controversial loss in the playoffs for Peyton Manning or for Aaron Rodgers? Like, I struggle to. I can't really, even with Mahomes. And for Brees to have the Nola no call like you did, and to have the ridiculous play in Minnesota like you did, and if those two change and he's got 2 Super Bowls, plays in 3, like, he dwarfs some of these other guys. Like, he's not even in the discussion with Aaron Rodgers if he does that. I feel like we just kind of default to, well, Manning, Brady, and Mahomes, like, Super Bowls, they just got it done. But, like, Brees led the NFL in passing yards 7 times, completions 6 times, touchdowns 4 times, 2 times Offensive Player of the Year. He was an All-Pro. He never won an MVP, and that's disappointing. But I feel like his legacy is cemented as the greatest player in Saints history and an all-time great quarterback, yes. But it changes so drastically if things out of his control don't happen. And that's a difficult one to swallow as you look back. Like, still, as Saints supporters, like, you understand it was a golden era and you look back on it so fondly now, certainly knowing what preceded it and what has followed it, it even elevates Brees to another level here in New Orleans. But I feel like when people pull up Drew Brees' Pro Football Reference page and just look at the numbers, you'll see how great some things are, but you won't see the Nola no call there. You won't see the Minneapolis Miracle or whatever we're calling that. And those are out of his control. I mean, I could even go to, beast mode, or could go to what happened with Vernon Davis in San Francisco that weren't really in his control in those games. All of those plays are made while the other team has the football. And so I wonder if Brees had gotten and won 2 Super Bowls, maybe even won 3 Super Bowls, and you put his numbers up against Mahomes, who statistically doesn't necessarily throw for as many yards or completions as everybody. They just win a lot. He throws for a ton of yards. He's great. He's an all-time great, but that's really built on the postseason success that he's had. And Brees' failures in the postseason weren't really his fault. And I think that when you go look at all quarter century teams like this and you look at Brees' legacy, which he will ultimately be compared to Rodgers and Roethlisberger and Rivers and Manning, Eli Manning, and those of his time, and will be dwarfed by Peyton Manning and Tom Brady and now Patrick Mahomes, I don't know if it's really his fault that that's happened. And we knew that at the time, but it just is exacerbated when you look back at things like this. I mean, you're talking about a guy who's in the top 3 all-time in yards, touchdowns, and completion percentage, and he's second behind Brady in yards, completions, and touchdowns. I think he's hurt by not having an MVP, okay, and he's hurt worse, in my opinion, by the fact that those postseason games ended as bitterly as they did. And that's why he's not put on these teams more regularly. Those of us that sat there and watched him, man, was it a treat. And it's different for me, because for those of you that are diehard fans, like, you got to watch him do it for your team. For me, it was great. I went to the Dome. I probably saw Brees play in person 7 times. And just to go and watch him perform surgery on a defense was such a treat. And I think he may be a little bit underappreciated because of what happened in those fateful Januaries. Not by Saints fans, by those on the outside. But still, first ballot Hall of Famer, all-time great statistically, and the greatest player in the history of a franchise, which certainly means a lot. So I know Drew Brees means a lot to the folks down here in South Louisiana, and they're longing for the next one to come around. Come on, Tyler Shook. That's it for the Saints talk here in hour number 1. We're going to pause, take a timeout, come back, and I'm going to do a deep dive on LSU baseball signing class for Sunday and Monday's draft. If that's your thing, lock us in after national headlines. The next segment, The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is that website. Those of you that moved back during the pandemic, got such an incredible interest rate, and you're thinking now at this point, it's 4 or 5 years later, and you're going, man, I can't move. Our interest rate's so good, but I'd really like to spruce things up around here. I got your guy, David Duvall, One Bath and Closets. Brand new closet, customized to your specifications. He can do it. Tub to shower conversion in the bathroom, something simple, not the time-consuming or invasive. He can do it. Full bathroom renovation with the shower and the floors and the vanity and the mirrors. He can do it. You make one phone call. Don't just call the handyman down the street. Call somebody with a certified master plumber. Bonded, insured, 30 years of experience. They'll customize it to your specifications. It's One Bath and Closets. You can find them online, and pictures are great work at onebathandclosets.com. It's onebathandclosets.com.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Parish Construction and Roofing. This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Nick Toluca. Just in the NBA, the Thunder's expensive offseason continues, agreeing with star wing Jalen Williams on a 5-year max rookie extension that can reach $287 million, according to ESPN's Shams Charania. Averaged 22 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists this season. OKC locking in their big three long-term for a total of $822 million this summer. Devin Booker getting his big deal, staying in Phoenix on a 2-year, $145 million max contract extension. Staying with a rebuilding Suns team for now, ESPN NBA insider Tim Bontemps says Booker needs to evaluate his options.
We are, I think, starting to get to the point where if you want to spend your whole career playing for the Suns, I find that a very admirable thing. However, if he does want to have a chance to really win, he is starting to get to the point where he's going to have to make that decision pretty soon.
Bontemps on Clinton and Friends. Booker became the Suns' all-time leading scorer last season.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Friday, Giannis said he's probably staying in Milwaukee, but should we buy that he's down solid with the Bucks moving forward? It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
A magic beyond anything you could ever imagine.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Signees Farms on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day.
You really think that's the best idea?
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, this is Hunt Palmer.
It's quite a piece of work.
All right. Hour 2 here, Thursday edition Hunt Palmer Show. We're brought to you by Signees Farms Premium Angus Beef. Going to talk some baseball here. The MLB draft starts on Sunday evening. First 3 rounds are Sunday. Then they'll crank out 4 through 20 on Monday. And it's big, big time for this LSU baseball program. I wrote this at LouisianaSports.net for those that have trouble following whether you're on YouTube or listening on radio. You can read it all on LouisianaSports.net. I've got some highlights up of some of the players as well. I've done my digging, and I put this caveat out every year. The draft is incredibly fickle, and what players and coaches think on Monday may turn out to be true and may turn out to be completely false. Some players purport to have a number. Sometimes they make teams meet it. Sometimes they don't. So when I tell you that I have leans on these guys, by no circumstance am I suggesting that I know what's going to happen. It is a complete crapshoot based on slot values, bonus pools, player evaluations, picks in front of or behind these other picks. It goes haywire every single year, and there are things that I write about and talk about that come true, and there are things that absolutely do not. So I'm just giving you a guide and my information as it stands today. I made phone calls, I've talked to some folks, and then I read too, just like you can, and kind of get a sense of where things stand. It's a crapshoot, but let's get into it. So I've got a list of 6 guys that I think are very, 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 very likely to sign professional contracts and never come to LSU. Brady Ebel is the first. He's an infielder from California, 6'3", left-handed hitter, great hitter. His dad is the third base coach for the Dodgers, just grown up in Major League Baseball and professional baseball, and I just don't think a California kid with those deeper roots and this kind of profile is going to make it to college, so I cross him off my list. Jaden Fauske is here at summer school. He is as talented a dude as there is in this signing class. He is 6'3". He can play center field. He can play third base or first base. He can play second base. He can play right field. He's a 5-tool player. He's got great athleticism, and I don't think it would be a huge shock if he went in the first 40 picks of the draft. LSU's pitch is, hey, come here for a couple of years, 3 years, and go 5th in the draft. Sign for $7 million. I think he probably signs for 3 in the late first round of this draft. But he's here on campus right now at summer school. But that's my judge on Fauske. I don't think he shows up. River Hamilton is a right-handed pitcher from Oregon. He had committed to Oregon State, flipped to LSU. He throws 95 miles an hour, big frame at 6'5". I don't think he ends up at LSU. I think he becomes a professional. Landon Hodge is a catcher from the state of California. He hits left-handed. That's a really nice perk for a catcher. And the scouts in Southern California, I think, are on him. The big deal here is I tell you about a catcher who's a potential drafter and going, man, those are tough to get to campus. LSU got Cade Arambidi to campus last year, and Omar Cerna from Texas is opted out of the draft, and he's on campus. So you've gotten a big talent in this past freshman class and this coming freshman class. So you're talented at catcher, even if Hodge does go in the draft, and I anticipate that he will. Miguel Syme, right-handed pitcher from New York. He's 6'4". He throws 101. Hard to imagine him at LSU as well. I cross him off the list. And then Quentin Young, infielder and outfielder from California, just a big 6'5" stud of an athlete. His uncles are Delman and Dimitri Young, who had great careers in the Major League Baseball, and I think he'll follow in that footstep. If you remember, LSU's had some trouble with MLB pedigree guys. Delano DeShields Jr., his dad was in the MLB for a long time. He doesn't make it to campus. Cam Caminetti, nephew of late Ken Caminetti. Christian Cairo, Miguel Cairo's son, who LSU thought they were going to get as a shortstop, never ended up here. That's kind of what you're looking at here with Quentin Young. So Quentin Young, Miguel Syme, Landon Hodge, River Hamilton, Jordan Fauske, Brady Ebel. That is 6 guys that I don't think LSU is going to get. You move on from those guys. Here are the guys that I do believe in this signing class are likely to come to school. Jonah Ace is a left-handed pitcher from the state of Washington. He tore his UCL in December. Had to have Tommy John. That means he almost certainly is going to end up at LSU just coming off the injury. Mason Braun is a first baseman from Indiana. He's a great hitter. Really, really good hitter. But he's 6 feet tall, and he can only really play first base. So he's limited in his upside. He's not 6'5". He's not got massive power because of that or long levers. And because he's left-handed, he's kind of married to first base. So he looks like a great college player to me. He just rakes from South Bend, Indiana. ESPN's got him rated number 231 on their prospect list. He's also a pretty athletic defender for the college level. He's not a huge target, but I think he's got a chance to be a really good player, and they feel like they got a good chance to get Mason Braun. Ethan Klaus is a left-handed hitting infielder. He's a shortstop from Vegas. Jay Johnson loves left-handed hitting infielders. Tanner Reeves, Stephen Milam, like these are guys he really prioritizes in his signing classes because there are not a lot of them because they have to throw right-handed, and there just aren't a lot of guys that turn around and hit left-handed. Josh Smith was a great one here at LSU before Jay Johnson got here. Ethan Klaus is a really good prospect. He's got good size. He really looks the part. I've got a video of him in the story I wrote for LouisianaSports.net of him just launching one from the left side. I think there's a good chance he makes it to campus as well. William Patrick, this is a huge one. He's from Louisiana, from Funroe, went to St. Fred's, my rival high school growing up in Shreveport, and he is just an incredible athlete. You're talking about a guy who set record. Exactly. He set an event record, not a guy like, a guy who set a perfect game record with the 60-yard dash earlier this year, like the best in the history of the event. He's got a 99th percentile throwing arm from the outfield as well. He's played a lot of sports growing up. He's not as polished as some of the other guys who are lifer baseball guys, but he is a freak athlete. If LSU can get him through the draft, he could be a star. Like in terms of the tools, it's Matuk-esque, like you just big arm, big run, big bat, big power, the whole thing. And Matuk blossomed into the SEC Player of the Year. And Patrick has those kind of tools. You would love to get him into the mix in the outfield. Then you've got a couple guys that I don't think are big draft risks. Jack Rucker, the Catholic High shortstop, great player. I think he's going to be really good at LSU. I don't think he'll be a drafted guy. And then Zion Theophilus is a right-handed pitcher from Ohio who's here in summer school, 6'2", throws a lot of strikes, not a fireballer. I think they got a real chance to get him to campus. So you're looking at these guys that I think are likely to come to LSU. Now you've got the toss-ups, which is tough. Because this is where the thing swings to, okay, you lost 7 to, okay, you lost 11. And, like, that's a big deal. If you're Jay Johnson, you're going to go take risks in your high school signings. You can do that now with the transfer portal. There was a time where if you allowed 11 of your high school signees to sign professionally, you don't have a roster. That's not the case anymore. So you got to take these risks, and these are some of those risks. Briggs McKenzie, some people have in the back end of the first round. He's a left-handed pitcher from North Carolina, and I think there's a chance LSU can get him. There's a good chance he goes, but I think there's a chance that LSU can get him. He's 6'2", 93 on the fastball. It comes out really easy. There's a feeling that there's 96, 97 in that left arm. Does he take the $1.2 million this year? Or does he look at Cade Anderson signing for $9 million and go, I'd rather do that? Does he do what Kevin Gausman, Chase Shore, some of these high-profile high school arms do and pick LSU? I think he's going to sign professionally. But, man, if they can get Briggs McKenzie, the left-hander from North Carolina, that would be huge. This is the guy I've circled in this class that I think is a toss-up that I'd really like to get. Full disclosure, I've done this on the show. You can go back and look at these segments. Brady Neal was that 3 years ago. That didn't work out. Cade Arambidi was that this past year. We'll see. Stephen Milam was that guy 2 years ago. That's been big. So Dean Moss, to me, is such a good hitter. But I don't know that he's a center fielder. I don't know that he's an elite runner. I don't know that he's got an elite arm. I don't know that he's going to hit for a ton of power. He's got some pop. If you see the video that I've got in the story that I wrote, he's got a 107-mile-an-hour exit velo home run that he put on his Twitter page. But, man, he can hit. I mean, he hits. He's left-handed. He can hit. He finds the barrel without a flashlight. Does the MLB value that where the other tools may not be quite there? We'll see. But if they can get Dean Moss through, that's a guy that I think hits in the middle of your order and hits a ton of line drives. I love Dean Moss. Marcos Paz is one of the last ones here. This is a guy that Kylie McDaniel put in his ESPN article that ranked the top 250 prospects. He would be a tough sign. The reason he would be a tough sign is because he had Tommy John his junior year. And so if he's like Cade Anderson, who had Tommy John his junior year, maybe the pro scouts want to wait. Maybe he thinks that he's not quite at his best, where he's showing his best to the scouts, and he can do that when he comes to LSU. He's from Texas, and that's where the Case and Evans comparisons could come in. But this is a guy I think helps next year if you can get him through the draft. But if there's an organization that feels like LSU does, that like this guy's going to be a star, even though he's been hurt, they may take him. Just a question of can he stick to his number. But Marcos Paz, I think, could be a really, really big add to this class. And the last name is a recognizable name, Reagan Ricken. Reagan Ricken is 6'5". He's a right-handed pitcher, played high school quarterback, big breaking ball, and his fastball is clocked to 97. I think he could be a monster prospect if he comes to LSU and then gets to his draft year. Like right now, he's a little bit below the radar because he's been playing football and doing other things, but he's a big talent. And no, he's not a Louisiana kid. California's a long way away. But if they can get Reagan Ricken to camp, to school, he's got the ability to focus all that athleticism on just pitching. It's easy to see the fastball 97, 98 and a big breaking ball from a 6'5" frame. Like, I think they've got a real chance to get Ricken in. But we'll see. It's a fickle process. So here are my toss-ups. Briggs McKenzie, lefter from North Carolina. I think he probably signs and goes pro. Dean Moss, outfielder from California. I think he probably signs and goes pro, but man, I would love to get him in. Marcos Paz, coming off injury, right-hander, throws hard, could be a real impact guy. I think they get him to campus. And Reagan Ricken, right-handed pitcher from California, 97-mile-an-hour fastball, big spinner, high school quarterback. I think they can get him to campus as well. That's my look at this thing. If you want to bookmark this and have it for Sunday and Monday when the draft cranks up, it's on LouisianaSports.net for free. It's on my Twitter profile for free. I'm going to retweet it out on Sunday and again on Monday to be looking at it. And we'll have a draft tracker up on Sunday and Monday, even for media days, to kind of monitor this as it moves forward. But you're talking about a 17-guy signing class of high school players. I think only like 3 of them are like not risked really at all. There's 14 of the others. I've pigeonholed 6 as I don't think any LSU can get them. That leaves 8. If you could get 5 of the 8, that'd be good. If you could get 7 of the 8, that'd be phenomenal. if you get 2 of the 8, you've really been gutted. That's kind of where you are. It's a stressful time for that baseball program over across the street, but it helps to ease some stress when you got a second trophy in that coach's office. So LSU's always going to have signing classes with huge risks. This year, the feeling, and J.J. Doyle tweeted this out earlier today, professional organizations feel like they're going to have the opportunity to sign a lot of high schoolers for like $600,000-$700K, because a lot of premier high school players are going to a school that's already loaded up in the transfer portal, and then they're not playing as much, and their development's hurt because they're not playing. It's not all Derek Curiel. It's not all Kason Evans. Sometimes it's William Schmidt, like he didn't pitch a ton. Sometimes it's Cade Arambidi, like he didn't play a ton. And I don't say that's a detriment. I think both those two guys are going to go off this summer and develop their game, and I think they're going to be big parts to next year's team and then big parts of the next year's team. But just for an example, like you've got guys that are going places and not playing a lot. And the one thing that they can guarantee you, if you get plugged into high A and you're a 5th-round pick, you're going to play. So I still think that college baseball is a very, very attractive place to be. But the landscape is changing. And it's not me that's telling you that it's tough to get on the field in college. This is what the advisors and agents are telling some of their clients. And it's an interesting dynamic. One of the most interesting things I monitor every year. And if you want to read about it, you can over at LouisianaSports.net. Thursday show is brought to you by Sagrera Farms, premium Angus beef. Literally some of the best beef in the United States right here just outside Baton Rouge at Sagrera Farms. If you want tender, juicy, flavorful beef that's consistent every single time, you don't have to worry where your beef came from. You don't have to worry how many DNAs are in that pack of ground beef that you got from the shop down the street. You don't have to worry about putting a deposit down. And you don't have to worry if it's choice, select, or prime. You're getting prime beef from Sagrera Farms. Fill that freezer up. Anytime you want to throw a steak on the grill, throw burgers on the grill. You want to do tacos with one of their great skirt or flank steaks, you can do that from Sagrera Farms. Call Sean, 719-1723, 719-1723. It's Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Still plenty to do here on this Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Got about 45 minutes left of action. This is a fun story from ESPN.com. Who's Alabama's arch villain? Coming up this football season. It cracked me up. We'll talk about it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
When it comes to industrial construction, River Parish Contractors can do it all. Mechanical, structural, custom fabrication, specialized welding, and turnaround services. Strategically located in between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, we have the local team with the experience and commitment to safety to manage the most complex industrial projects. Period. Here's the deal. Partnering with us means your project is delivered on time, on budget, and most important, safely. River Parish Contractors, let's get building.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, They've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
At Luba Workers Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Signees Farms.
All right, back to your knowledge, is there like a Marvel movie with villains coming out right now? Is there some sort of...
there is actually.
There is? Okay.
Yes.
I don't know why ESPN wrote a story.
There always is, but...
Okay. I don't know why ESPN wrote a story with what every college football team's big villain's going to be.
Yeah.
That's beyond my purview, but I found it funny just to read it, even though I didn't know the genesis of it. So there's some kind of Ant-Man or,
Ant-Man's not a villain, but...
No, I know he's not a villain, but every movie's got a villain. It's like Batman movie, like he's not a villain, but he's got villains that happen. So something going on, whatever. I think this is hilarious. It goes through and it takes every top 25 team and gives their potential villain for this coming football season. So like, for example, Penn State's is Ryan Day. Ryan Day has shoved James Franklin in a locker since Ryan Day took that job. And that's very obvious, and that's why he's their biggest villain. For Clemson, it's Lenora Sellers, quarterback at South Carolina. For Georgia, number 4 in the preseason rankings, like it's Alabama. They're beating the brains out of everybody, and they can't beat Alabama. You get to Alabama's villain, and I chuckled at my desk when I scrolled to it. You want to guess?
Kalen DeBoer?
No, he's on the team, so he's not going to be.
Yeah, but I thought, the fans are...
Well, okay, the fan base at that point would be the villain.
That's true.
It's your boys. Your guys from Nashville.
The Commodores?
The Commodores are the villain for Alabama. I had to read this further.
Wow.
But it said, remember when Nick Saban won 100 straight games against unranked opponents, the longest such streak in the AP poll era? Now, all of a sudden, the Crimson Tide are 2-3 against their last 5 unranked foes, a stretch that started by losing to Vanderbilt 40-35. That came only a week after DeBoer beat number 2 Georgia in the SEC opener. First time Bama had lost to Vanderbilt since 1984, and Bama gets its shot at payback against the Commodores on October the 4th. The loss to Vanderbilt a year ago ignited what was the first 3-loss regular season for Alabama since 2010, and judging by some of the comments from the Alabama players this offseason, no one will need to remind the Tide when the Commodores are coming to town. This is what has happened to Alabama football in the course of 16 months. They have gone from preseason #1 every year to ESPN writing about how Vanderbilt
is their villain,
has become the villain of Alabama football.
Anchor down.
That is what we have come to. Now, I'm not here to tell you whether or not I think that's the correct assessment.
I mean, what are the other options we have?
I would suggest Josh Heupel's offense has been a problem for them for the last 2 times.
That's fair.
They've played Tennessee and Knoxville. Now, they don't play Tennessee and Knoxville this year, but that offense still. I would suggest that maybe the ghost of Nick Saban is a villain for them because going 9-3 is completely unacceptable in Tuscaloosa.
That's fair. I think that's pretty.
But
pretty
Vanderbilt is hilarious.
It is.
We had that was an off weekend for LSU when Bama beat when Vandy beat Bama, and I played in a golf tournament that Saturday morning because LSU was off, and yes, there was an open bar at the golf tournament. If you were curious.
Okay, so you had a few cold pops.
Allegedly. I'm not here to confirm or deny here. You'll have to talk to my representation.
All right.
But to be in that state of mind and returning back to the Metairie estate of my good buddy and watching that football game was one of the funniest things I did all fall last year. And I know that LSU didn't achieve very much last year and that Alabama came into Tiger Stadium and Jalen Milroe looked like Secretariat running the Belmont against LSU's defense in the rain. So I don't have too much of a leg to stand on here, but this is still funny. This is where we've gotten Alabama football to be. And I talked about this with JD Picell in the first hour of the show, and it's one of the things that I'm excited about next week. You'll hear me talk about this tomorrow, and I'll preface a lot of my conversation from Atlanta next week with this. But I'm fascinated by the vibes around programs, according to the media and beat writers, more so generally than what the coaches have to say or the players have to say. Every year there are certainly exceptions to that, but I've found it in my time following media days. And I want to hear what people think about Alabama. I want to know. Like right now, they've got 5 5-stars committed in this class that's about to be seniors. And DeBoer's won everywhere he's been. And they had some impressive performances last year. Like that win over Georgia was damn impressive. What they did in Tiger Stadium was damn impressive. And they looked like garbage against Vanderbilt and garbage against Oklahoma. And I just want to know what people think. Because as I told JD last year, like last hour, I was like, Bama hasn't been interesting in July since the mid-2000s. It's just, okay, here's another army of 5-stars. They're going to go 11-1 or 12-0, and they're probably going to play for the championship. Like that's been Bama in July for 2 decades. What are they now? I don't know. Do you? I know what you hope. You hope it's a disaster. You hope Vanderbilt is their villain. But I don't know what it's going to be. I'm fascinated to hear what people say. I'm intrigued to read more about this Alabama roster and what people think. All I know is this. Saban ain't coaching them. So there's volatility and variability in that. Everybody else deals with volatility and variability. Every week, every season, every recruiting class, every coordinator hire, it's up and down. Everybody else deals with that. Bama didn't have to deal with that for 20 years. They do now. So Vanderbilt is their villain. For those curious, as it relates to LSU, South Carolina's villain this year is LSU. So South Carolina's got a share of hated rivals, Georgia and Clemson, anyone who plays Sandstorm during timeouts. But the Gamecocks looking to make a playoff run in 2025, and enemy number 1 might be LSU. LSU's dominated South Carolina over the years, 18-2 all time. They've won 8 straight, dating back to 1995. More importantly, LSU escaped Columbia last year with a 36-33 win that the Gamecocks blew a 4-point lead with less than 2 minutes to play in. That loss ultimately cost South Carolina a playoff bid, and Gamecocks feel like they're a far better team than they were last year. If they can get some revenge on LSU, it'll be a big step towards reaching those lofty goals. So that's interesting. LSU's villain is daytime home games. Talking about playing at night against Florida, but then home games against South Carolina A&M might be flexed as early as 2:30, though they theoretically could be 7 o'clock. LSU since 2000, 112-15 in Saturday night home games. Brian Kelly has faced just 2 nationally ranked SEC opponents in day games at Tiger Stadium, is 1-1. Of course, that Tennessee blowout was the loss in the Brian Kelly era. Yeah, I'd rather play at night at home. I tell you all that. If we're going to play Louisiana Tech or ULL, I'd rather play at 11 o'clock in the morning so I can get home. But I realize that that's not my call and that y'all don't want to do that. So I don't put that on y'all. I just react when that announcement comes that, hey, I'll live, but I don't think there's going to be a lot of daytime home games.
Yeah, let's just assess.
They're going to put those in at night.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, I don't see any way that. I mean, both. Whenever LSU plays South Carolina, Texas A&M, both of those teams should be in a pretty good position record-wise. LSU as well. So I don't. Besides, South Carolina or Texas A&M coming in with like 2 or 3 losses at that point, I don't see how that would not be night game.
I will say this. LSU, I don't believe, gets preferential treatment necessarily.
So you don't agree with Lane Kiffin, is what you're saying?
On the whole, I will suggest that LSU, if they're looking at 2, and one game's going to be in Athens and one game's going to be at LSU, they're probably going to put LSU at night. If you want to call that preferential treatment, fine. But LSU also got saddled with Florida permanently for 3 decades. So you go ahead and take what you want. But LSU, to me, they tend to err on the side of night games with the understanding they do play day games. Tennessee came here and played during the day. Seen Kentucky and Arkansas coming here at 11 o'clock in the morning too. So it's not universal. They don't just rule it out. But I think if there's an opportunity to flex it, LSU generally is going to be on the night side time of that. So interesting story on ESPN, just kind of a summer filler deal. You can laugh at Alabama if you'd like. Let's go back and do some more. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Love telling you about Genesis of Baton Rouge. You can find the entire inventory at genesisofbatonrouge.com. No matter what your lifestyle is, your family situation is, your preference in car is, whether you'd like to drive a sedan, whether you'd like to drive your whole big family in the SUV, they've got an option for you at Genesis of Baton Rouge, and it's going to be a luxury vehicle and a luxury experience. How about valet maintenance? That's a big deal. You don't want to sit there on the service aisle for 6 hours while somebody tries to fix your car. We've all done it. How about dealing with the oil change, the wiper fluid, the air filter, while you're still getting things done? Whether that's moving around your day in a loaner car or whether that's just them coming to get your vehicle. Either way, they can get that done for you at Genesis of Baton Rouge. And by the way, the service aisle, cleanest service aisle I've ever seen. Part of a phenomenal facility, their airline at Pickell. I've seen a lot of service aisles. Was in the insurance business and did a lot of business with car dealerships. And you've seen some service aisles that are not so clean. This one, Genesis, real clean. The people, phenomenal. Facility, first class, line of vehicles, incredible. If you've never been behind the wheel of a Genesis, just go see them. Airline at Pickell across from Women's Hospital. Say, hey, heard about y'all on Hunt Show. Love to come in and test drive a vehicle. They'd love to have you there at Genesis of Baton Rouge. It's a luxury experience at a reasonable price. Genesis of Baton Rouge. Find them online, genesisofbatonrouge.com.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team colors, team swag, and now your very own website, LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net, powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luva, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. This, it's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
All right, chugging along here. Thursday shows brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Some of the best beef in the United States of America. Top 1% nationwide is right here just outside Baton Rouge. If you're interested in a side of beef, in a quarter, or a whole cow, Sean Sagrera can help you out with that. All of it's prime. You can be guaranteed in that. And every cow on that farm is a 3-year journey. Raised on grass, finished on grain, aged 45 days, never going to use steroids, never going to improperly use antibiotics, and you can know where your beef comes from. You don't have to ask questions. Is this prime beef? Is this farm raised? Is this injected with steroids? Is this thousands of DNAs in one package? You don't have to ask those questions. You'll know. It's a process. It's a process Sean takes pride in. They're consistent. And it's phenomenal in terms of his product. Sean dropped off a bunch of meat last week. I've been very fortunate to grill up a ribeye, use some of their ground beef as well. It is fantastic. Once you try it, you'll believe it. It's Sagrera Farms. Call Sean, 719-1723. All right, the news of the day, Lamar Brown picks LSU. Huge get for LSU and the coaching staff to get Lamar Brown in the boat. You're talking about now on Rivals/On3, the number 5 class in the country. And that's important when you go, well, there's 4 better. LSU's got 15 commitments. 15. Notre Dame's got 25. A&M's got 24. Georgia's got 27. And USC's got 31. So you're talking about rivaling those teams in the recruiting rankings, which does take into account, like, how many players? Like, you're 16 short of those teams in terms of the quantity. But in terms of quality, it's as good as anybody in the country. And your average rating on that website of 92.47 is the highest in the country. You've got 3 5-stars. Only Alabama with 5 has more. You got 9 4-stars and 3 3-stars. So right now, this LSU class, while it is low on numbers, is so high on quality. Tristan Keys, 5-star, number 1 wide receiver in the country. Lamar Brown, 5-star, number 1 athlete, D lineman in the country. Richard Anderson, 5-star, number 1 defensive lineman in the country. Number 2 player in the state. Trenton Henderson, 5-star on 24/7, 4-star on 3 Rivals. He would be, if you put them together, your 4th 5-star recruit in this class. And so LSU continues to put in work both nationally and locally, where we know that it's very, very important for LSU to hold serve in the state. And with Lamar Brown's commitment, LSU continues to inch forward in closing down the state. You've got Lamar Brown, looking at rivals in 20-on-3's rankings. You've got Lamar Brown, you got Richard Anderson, that's 1 and 2. Blaine Bradford is committed to Ohio State. He's number 3. Then you've got Jabari Mack, who's number 4. Aiden Hall, who's number 5. Bryson Martinez, who's number 6. Kenny Darby, who's number 7. Of the top 7, you've already got 6 committed. So to me, it's a great job by this LSU staff. It's a great job of holding down the front at home. And we'll see what Blaine Bradford's fall looks like. He's a kid with a really good head on his shoulders. He's a Catholic high guy. He knows everything there is to know about LSU. His brother's on the team. They're going to continue to recruit him. They're going to continue to make their pitch, and maybe he gets a change of heart and decides he wants to stay home and play with the other 6 best of the 7 players in the state. Maybe he wants to spread his wings and go play at Ohio State. But while that was a setback in the recruitment, to lose a top 3 or 4 safety in the country right out of your backyard, you've hammered down on the rest. Lamar Brown, Richard Anderson, Jabari Mack, Aiden Hall, Kenny Darby, Bryson Martinez, like big-time stuff for LSU. And so I think that it's important to judge the quality and the quantity of your signing class. If you've got a monster portal class, you can sign a monster. You can't sign a monster high school class. If you sign a monster high school class, you don't sign a monster portal class. And right now, LSU's numbers into the next roster building cycle are light on high school players today. Doesn't mean that it won't change over the next 5 months. And then you take an assessment of where you are and you move forward. But as I said at the top of the show today, this is a huge get for LSU because you've got to get these guys on the roster. You've got to get the big-time Louisiana kids to commit. It's less important now that you've got the transfer portal, but it's still very important. You need Will Campbell. You need Emory Jones. You need Tradez Green. You need Malik Dabers. You need Brighton Thomas. You need those guys. And sometimes Lance Hurd bolts after a year. And sometimes Blaine Bradford decides he wants to go elsewhere. You can't get them all. But the foundation of this football program is always, always, always going to be within these borders. The best LSU football teams are always powered by Louisiana kids. And that doesn't change when you hire a coach with a national brand, and that doesn't change when NIL gets introduced, and that doesn't change when the transfer portal gets introduced. You need guys from this state to make it work. You got to supplement it, and recruiting nationally is good. But locking these guys down is awesome. Like I was looking at LSU's baseball signing class. You got 2 guys from Louisiana. And LSU baseball can do that. You can do it with Skeens and Cruz and White. Now that team had Beloso and Jobert and Dugas and Trey Morgan, but it also had Ty Floyd, Riley Cooper. It had Milazzo and Travinsky from here, but you had Thompson. Like you really can spread your wings with baseball because there are so few schools that care about baseball. You can cherry pick. It's tough to cherry pick in football because everybody cares. And we care a lot in this state, and the high school kids care a lot in this state. And when you can get those guys to stay home, it's a big, big deal. So it's a hat tip to the LSU coaching staff and a hat tip to Lamar Brown. And this is not about him picking LSU, because you can go back to yesterday's tape when he had not picked LSU and nobody had a crystal ball on him with any confidence whatsoever. Nobody had a recruiting prediction machine with a ton of confidence. Nobody felt like they knew. And I said on yesterday's show, that's a credit to Lamar Brown and his camp. You're not making promises. You're not committing and bailing. You're just taking your visits. You're properly evaluating. He knew that Texas A&M was his second school. He went there 10, 12 times. Good on you. That's a good thing to do. But he never shut LSU out. He didn't cancel a visit to LSU. He gave LSU every opportunity as well. He surveyed his options. He didn't promise anybody anything. It came time to do his commitment. He sat down when it was commitment time. He told ESPN2, this is what I'm doing. Here you are. And that's a good way to handle things. We're not to the finish line. Everyone knows that. But I said this yesterday pre-LSU. I'll say it now post-LSU. It was well done by Lamar Brown, his family, his camp, and a great job by LSU staff to get him in the boat here in this class of 2026, which now LSU's ranks 5th, according to Rivals and On3. All right, if you're looking for LSU football content, you can find it at LouisianaSports.net as well as Hunt on LSU. We'll come back and close up shop here on a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. Captives. I'll tell you about it a couple times a week, but it's very important. If you're a CFO, risk manager, business owner, and you feel like you're just really leveraged on your insurance and you feel like you're spending too much and you don't have a real creative answer. You just get the renewal in, you sign for the 20% increase, you sign for the 19% increase. It's just frustrating. I get it. And there may be an alternative. And Jonathan Carbo and his team at the Highland Insurance Group handle captives every single day. If you'd like an alternative solution, potentially for your insurance woes when it comes to pricing, this could be a game changer for you and your business. Maybe your broker doesn't have access to captives. Jonathan Carbo and his team, they're independent. They do. They handle it all the time. If you feel like you pay a lot, you want to hear about another option, the captive is your friend if you fit. Jonathan Carbo can help you with that with the Highland Insurance Group. Check them out online, HighlandIG.com. They're based right here in Baton Rouge, can help you out statewide as well. It's the Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
At Atmos Energy, our smart choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. This, it's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Fun show, fast-moving show. Missed any of it, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. Went through the entirety of LSU's baseball high school signing class. That's up at LouisianaSports.net if you like to read it. If you want to listen, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. Started the show off with big news. LSU lands Lamar Brown. Also had some fun with JD Picell talking college football. We're going to catch up with JD in Atlanta next week as well. So a lot to look forward to next week, but a lot to look back on this week as well. And we got a lot to do on tomorrow's show. Talk to Preston Guy of TigerBait.com about LSU's one big commitment. We're hoping for another one here in about 10 minutes. And we'll get deeper into the draft as well with MLB coming up on Sunday and into Monday. So plenty to do here over the course of the next 2 days. And we'll hit the road on Sunday for SEC Media Days next week from the ATL. One order of business left on this Thursday, brought to you by Signees Farms, and it is Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
You know, you don't have to trade taste for stats when you go for light beer. Like, light on calories, full on flavor is what Flight by Yingling is all about. It's a perfect summer beer. It's light, it's refreshing, and it's light on calories and carbs. So if you're looking for something right up that alley and the heat is hitting you here in South Louisiana, at the pool, on the golf course, on the grill, or certainly tailgating come September, Flight by Yingling. Keep it in mind, the next generation of light beer.
All righty, first one here. The Phoenix Suns and Devin Booker agreed to a 2-year, $145 million extension yesterday, giving Booker the highest annual extension salary in NBA history at $72.7 million. Booker will make more a year than the total team salaries of the San Jose Sharks, the Miami Marlins, and Anaheim Ducks. Booker making more than a professional team. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. That's
Leave it alone.
Bad ownership by those teams in the other sports.
Oh, yeah, and just by the way, he's not too far behind the White Sox and the Athletics.
I'm sure he's not, and they don't try either. So
Nope.
that's just how that goes. The NBA players just make so much money. It's unbelievable.
It is.
How much NBA players make. But he's really good. He's had a great career, and the Suns haven't been able to get over the hump with him.
Yeah.
So they've tried every superstar they can find, Durant and Paul and everybody that cycles through there, and it just hadn't clicked quite yet for the Suns. And I don't know that it's going to with a $75 million player, but here we go.
Yeah, I saw Shams, one of his tweets, because whenever it's a big move like this, that the insiders make like 5 tweets. And one of the ones was saying how Booker, wanted to commit to staying in Phoenix and was trying to be, good to the city. I'm like, he's going to get paid $72 million.
$72 million.
I'm sure he loves Phoenix, but I mean, come on, like, what are we talking about here? All right, next
I
one.
would like to go to Phoenix, by the way, just as an aside. I would like to
definitely.
Go
we need to go. We need to go one at some point, play some golf for sure. All right, next one. Speaking of golf, Caden Fioroni playing on the PGA Tour of Americas. He made a walk-off albatross. We got the video here. And he set the course record of 60 in doing so at the Bromont Open in Canada. An albatross on 18 to shoot 60. Take it or leave it.
I will take that.
I'll take it.
Unfortunately, that's not going to happen for me ever.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? It's possible. I mean, not to shoot 60, but you can make an albatross at least.
The problem with the albatross is I never go for par 5s.
Really?
There's one at Southern Trace in Shreveport I go for, but I mean, like the ones I rarely go for par 5s. I just rarely do. I like to lay it up to wedge range, kind of lock in my par. If I get lucky and make a birdie, that's great.
Okay.
I'm not hitting the water up there. I'm not trying to snap it out of bounds.
You're just a very safe player, not aggressive.
I'm not an aggressive player.
And that's honestly not surprising at all. In fact, I would really be surprised if you were a very aggressive risk taker on the golf course.
I try to do things that are very doable for me, the poor golfer.
The percentages.
Where I find as though a lot of really bad golfers try to do something they see on television.
That's very true.
When they should realize, well, I'm really bad. Like, I realize I'm not going to hit a great shot with a 4-iron, 250 over water. Why don't we just hit the 6-iron down the fairway? That's what we try to do.
That's a very fair assessment. All right, how about this? Michael Jordan's old house in Chicago is going up for an Airbnb. The stats on it: 7 bedrooms, 17.5 bathrooms, which is a lot of bathrooms.
That's a lot of bathrooms.
But it's a very large estate, and you can stay there, but it has a minimum 7-night stay and is limited to 12 guests. You must sign a liability waiver and NDA agreement. That's angry. That's extra there. You didn't need to say that. And pay $25,000 security deposit. A week-long stay could cost over 6 figures. Staying at the GOAT's house. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to pass on that. I'm going to leave it. I can't hear Michael Jordan's name without hearing Myers say Micah Jordan.
Oh, yeah,
because he watches Space Jam.
Perfect
he
timing.
watched it this morning. Micah Jordan.
Speaking of which, Hunt, Myers, and Keller in the Palmer house without Mom for 3 days. Take it or leave it.
I don't have any choice.
Take it.
I don't have any choice.
I
got to take it. This could be the end of all three of us.
This could be
3 days with just Myers, easy.
Yeah,
3 days with just Keller, easy.
Both
3
of them,
days
though.
just them.
What are we going to be eating? That's the real question.
Keller just has formula, so that's easy.
True. That's true.
Myers, man, we have a family-style lasagna, which generally speaking gets through 2 to 3 days. It's one of like 3 things in the world he eats, so we're going to make that happen. He only eats basically fried chicken and lasagna.
And baked ziti.
Well, sometimes. But we had fried fish 4th of July at the aunt's house. She sent us back with a lot of it. We just called it chicken. He's eating it every night.
Perfect.
If I'd have said you want some fish, he would never eat it. I told him it was chicken. He said it's great. Clown kid. Pray for me. 3 nights. We're back tomorrow.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
When it comes to industrial construction, River Parish contractors can do it all. Mechanical, structural, custom fabrication, specialized welding, and turnaround services. Strategically located in between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, we have the local team with the experience and commitment to safety to manage the most complex industrial projects. Period. Here's the deal. Partnering with us means you're